So I went on the Dr. Phil show.
That's it. That's my intro.
I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are going back to my roots of this channel. I went on the Dr. Phil show over Zoom, essentially, to talk with Michael Weist of former Good Times fame and former Tanacon fame. Former being used loosely because we are still dealing with this in 2020. I have a good deal to cover in this video, I feel. A couple of things to address about questions I saw about the episode, how I actually ended up involved in all of this, and also I want to talk about what they cut out, what happened behind the scenes. So first thing that I want to point out right here, why are we talking about this in 2021? First and foremost, this was actually filmed in October of 2020. I believe I was reached out to initially at the end of September. Then I was finalizing everything and in contact with my assigned producer over the next couple of days of October, and then we filmed it early October. All filmed in one day. As you guys saw, I was at home in Orange County. I did say I was more than willing to drive out to LA on my own if they wanted me to come and confront them in person, but because of COVID, they were trying to keep the amount of people in the studio down. And obviously, if you saw the second part of the episode or the second episode involving Tanacon and Michael Weist, you saw that there were far more important people to talk with Michael in person than me. But yes, this was filmed in October. Yes, I waited that long. Fun fact, they actually paid me for my footage. They paid to license my footage of my vlog from Tanacon for the episode. YouTubers, if you have content, that is money. That is your job. Make sure they pay you. Exposure does not pay your bills. Make sure they pay you. So I got paid for them using that vlog footage. So I wanted to disclose that, but also I want to disclose the fact that my check for that came and cleared like within a week of me filming the episode, and then I had to wait this long before the episode to come out. Apparently it was initially supposed to come out in the end of 2020, then it got pushed, and then it was supposed to come out in February to the point that they were running advertisements for it, and then they pushed it again, and now we're here in May. Patience, it's a virtue. So how did I get involved in this? Like I said, they actually reached out to me just for licensing my footage about Tanacon and said they were doing an episode about Tanacon. And my first thought was what a lot of your first thoughts were, why are we doing this now? This happened in 2018. I agree. I don't know why this was happening now. Well, I do know why, but we'll get there in a second. I originally thought, because they didn't tell me it was Michael, they originally told me that it was just covering Tanacon. Whoever this is about, like I would love to come on and like ask questions. I have things and concerns I want to bring up after our first couple of phone calls because I'm me. I talked my way into getting invited on. And then after I was confirmed that like they were definitely going to do the episode with Michael and they were definitely probably going to have me do Zoom in, I had to send photos to my assigned producer of a bunch of different shirts and things that I could potentially be wearing. I had to send a selfie of myself, and I understood from a TikTok that was done not too long ago actually from someone who went on with his sister that they actually were told to dye their hair because they couldn't have pink or something in their hair. So I'm fairly certain they were just trying to make sure that I didn't have like neon green hair or something. I also had to send a short 1-minute video clip of myself just talking to the camera, explaining why I want to come on, who I am, my experience at Tanacon. And it was my understanding that they were going to show that to Dr. Phil so that he at least had some understanding of why I was coming on the show and to see if it was like even important for me to come on, I guess. So I sent that over and I was confirmed. So then I had to do Skype test, all this other stuff, and then we did the episode. So that's how I got involved. Though you don't see me the entire time, I was watching everything, which is why when I do come on, I'm like, we can talk about the lies in your intro. We can talk about some of the lies you mentioned earlier when I was watching your intro. We can talk about that because I watched all of it. Basically everything you see in the episode and more is what I saw. I saw it as they were filming it, basically. And then I think also in the second episode about Tanacon, though I'm not involved in the episode, at a certain point they pan out to show the whole stage, and you can see in the background these screens of me and then Michael's current client still watching. That's actually us. We are actually there watching everything. I don't think they ever got me fidgeting, but I was filming in my bedroom at my dad's place with the AC off, so I was like melting, so I kept fidgeting on my bed and like trying to fix my hair. It was a long couple hours. So let me first talk about the behind the scenes leading up to me actually going on and talking with Michael. I had been talking with my producer for quite a bit, and again, I have said this before, I will say it again. I think Tanacon was a mess. I don't think Michael is the only one to blame. I don't think Tana is the only one to blame. I think that it was a group effort, and do I think they were out and out trying to scam people? No. I think they wanted to give a big fuck you to VidCon. Leading up to the call though, I was talking with my producer a lot. I've worked with people like her before. I know what she was doing. Not that she wasn't nice or anything like that. It was just kind of like she was producing me, or trying to, I guess you could say. That's what I was expecting. But leading up to the actual call, right before I was supposed to go on, I get a call from her and she's like, okay, are you ready to go? I saw the screen test. Everything looks great. Listen, we want you to come for him. Michael is being here, he's being awful, and we want you to come for him. And I asked a couple of things. I was like, oh, is it okay if I bring up this, this, and this? Whatever you want, bring up whatever you want. Fun fact, what I brought up was what was cut, but we'll talk about that in a second. And because I'm me, and because I wanted to know what exactly he was doing, I said, oh, like what is he doing? What is he doing behind the scenes? How awful is he being? Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Which, again, I worked in the service industry, treat everyone with fucking respect. Crew, employees, everyone, who gives a shit, okay? Just like, you're a freaking person like the rest of them. But basically they just made it clear that he was like being very judgmental and very rude with some of the crew members and stuff. And the producer said as well that he was like really complaining about the wardrobe situation and that he would only wear designer brands, and how they had warned him because of COVID, hey, we don't have a lot of food here. We only have like regular water. So like if you want to eat or anything, you got to bring that up beforehand because we can't touch food or get anything. And apparently he was like, no, bring me Evian. And again, this is secondhand information. This could all be lies trying to manipulate me. Who knows? But that is my experience. So again, it's a TV show. They didn't want me to come on here and be like, oh my gosh, Michael, yes, I understand. I accept your apology. It doesn't matter that you are still trying to profit off of Tanacon. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. No. I accept your apology. That's not good TV. Forget that. They wanted me to come out there and go for the jugular.
I mean, I'm not here to relive the past about things that could have happened. I'm here to heal.
That is exactly what you're here for.
I'm not though. I'm here to heal.
I did not go with the intent of fist fighting Michael through a screen. That was never my intent. My intent was to hold him accountable, basically, because I knew that the Dr. Phil show was probably only going to get one side of the story since they only had Michael there. According to Tana, she was reached out to come onto the show and she turned them down. However, if Michael had been honest and taken accountability, I would have accepted his apology. However, I know why he was going on Dr. Phil. He knows why he was going on Dr. Phil. It's because he's trying to do another Tanacon. He is trying to do another Tanacon. He renewed the trademark, and he knows that I know I renewed the trademark, and I had told my producer beforehand, like, just so you know, I have spoken with Michael over DMs before about the trademark and Tanacon too. Like, I'm letting you know. And they were like, oh yeah, no, that's fine, that's no problem. But I did reach out to him last April, when I found out about the trademark for Tanacon that he had renewed as himself, where he put in the data section, other data, he put does not reference a living being or something, which if you're at all familiar with Tanacon, you know is not the truth. You know that it's Tana's concept, it's Tana's idea, it's Tana's freaking name. But he had renewed the trademark and it came through in April of 2020. Or he had re-registered the trademark. And I messaged him about this and I was like, hey, I want to ask you about Tanacon too. And again, this was back in April. This is last year, 2020, before all of this came about with Dr. Phil's show. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I want to talk about how you're going to ensure safety. He replied to me and said, well, I can neither confirm nor deny any rumors at this time. Obviously, I do own the trademark. That's public record. I will hold your email in my inbox until the appropriate time, at which I will respond accordingly. Michael gave me his email, so I sent the email, and I knew as I sent it, I was probably not going to get a response because I asked some fairly difficult questions, including, are you worried about Tana potentially suing you because you're trying to profit off of her name? I brought up that interaction with my producer. Let's move on. If you watch the episode, you'll hear Michael say, I reached out to Dr. Phil because I was hoping that he would help me clear his name. Honestly, I don't know what Michael really was expecting, like what his best case scenario was. I can't imagine. I mean, he gave them names, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe this was all like him trying to profit off of his name, get his name back in the search engines, whatever. Tanacon is definitely happening. And I'll talk about how I have proof that it's definitely happening, or at least he has plans for it to happen. I'm fairly certain that he was trying to get his name back into circulation, at least on a grander scale. He has his juice crate company. He has a social media platform called Juice that I checked out a little bit. It was okay. He also has a book coming out in August called Verified Vanity, which he plans to talk about Tanacon as well. So yeah. Not that he can't talk about Tanacon. I don't want people to twist it that way. He has every right to address his connections to it. I still don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Cause like anyone who went to Tanacon, who was even on the internet at this time, could see and catch the inconsistencies in what he was saying as it was coming out. That's why Dr. Phil did this episode. Michael reached out to him and said, hey, I want to come on your show to get clarity or to, you know, fix my image or whatever, or like get healing for myself.
I'm here
that is
to
exactly
heal.
I think he went on the show to renew his image, to do Tanacon 2 or Juice Crate, fix his company, his book, whatever. You know, I think it was just to get his name back in the public eye. Maybe he wanted to fix his image, but I can't imagine that that had to have been like his best case scenario, because like there was no way for him to guarantee that this was going to go his way. I can't imagine that anyone goes on Dr. Phil thinking that this is going to go their way. Before I jump into the mistruths and the proof I have that Michael lied and there was a whole plan with him going on Dr. Phil. So one of the things that they cut out on Michael's perspective, again, this was months ago, okay, back in October, so my memory might be a bit off, but I distinctly remember him bringing this up. In Michael's original intro with Dr. Phil, when he's talking about why he wants to come on and why he wants to speak up about this and the death threats that he was receiving and all of that, he said that he wants to try and bring light to stop cyberbullying because, and again, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, this is my understanding. He said that he was told that his father's assistant's 13-year-old daughter was being cyberbullied and contemplating ending her life. And that is why he wanted to come on and talk about what he was experiencing for Dr. Phil to understand his life in the public eye. That is my understanding.
I'm here to heal and help some little 13-year-old girl who's being cyberbullied, who's contemplating suicide.
I'm assuming she exists. I would hope that someone would make this up, but that's where it came from, basically. He didn't just make up a mythical 13-year-old's girl as a response to his response to me, I guess. Okay, so let's talk about some of the inconsistencies with Tanacon and what Michael shared. Again, Michael is trying to do a second Tanacon. He owns that trademark. There is a Tanacon Instagram handle that has been verified, and the only account it's following is Michael. They have continuously posted and unposted things on that Tanacon account. I'm assuming they wiped it sometime after or before the Dr. Phil episode, but for a while there was a website on there that when you went in and clicked it, it said Tanacon 2, and then there was like a login site. I'll talk more about that Instagram account in a second, but the Tanacon 2 is definitely happening. I think that this whole Dr. Phil episode was trying to distance Tana from it whatsoever, from Tanacon initially, because if you watch Dr. Phil's episode, you'll see Michael talking about the planning of Tanacon and how Tanacon was something they were planning for months. They were planning a convention. And then they reached out to Tana, creator, as he says, to come on and do the project with him.
I met an influencer and a YouTuber named Tana Mojo. I approached her and came up with this idea that we should create a convention.
And then he had a team of 100 people working on it. And then they did the event and everything started great. It didn't. It started nothing. So behind the schedule, I got inside at noon. Everything was just starting. It was supposed to start at 10. It's a whole thing. I think his plan is trying to like distance himself from a possible lawsuit with Tana. Like, oh no, this wasn't Tana's event. This wasn't Tanacon. This was just an event. And then we just reached out to her to be the face of it. As if we can't go back on the internet and see her video talking about VidCon and why she wasn't going to do VidCon and why she was going to do a free meet and greet. And then the announcement that she put out saying that her and her team, Good Times Live, that had done her tour previously, they were going to do Tanacon as an event, and they were going to do free tickets and then have a VIP option, which was $69 and came to about $74 after tax. And that was going to get you a goodie bag and all these extra bonuses and your choice of meet and greets and all of that. This is all trackable. Day of taping, I took these screenshots from Michael Weiss's own documentary, Tanacon, What Really Happened, or whatever the heck the documentary on Amazon is called. If you go to the Tanacon Instagram right now, if you click that link, it'll bring you to the Amazon page. I don't recommend watching it. It's not ideal, but yeah, it shows an alternate version of what happened, and it also gives more details on Michael's side of things, the way that Shane Dawson's Tanacon docuseries highlighted Tana's side of things, I guess you could say. May 28th, 2018. Like I said in the Dr. Phil episode, the event was June 22nd and also supposed to be June 23rd. First Tanacon meeting with Tana. Why would you be having the first meeting with Tana a month before the event if you know, you'd been planning it for months and then you approached her months ago to plan it. I'm just wondering why the first meeting would be that, you know?
This whole event was planned in a month. That's not being discussed.
A month?
Yes.
And then another thing I sent was the Good Times Live Tanacon photo ticket thing that he shows in the documentary, where he's showing how many tickets they've sold already, including proving how much money they had made. So here it says Tanacon. Featured creator, that's the free option, 200 out of 200. Featured creator, 652 out of 5,000. So that's what they were still selling, the featured fucking creator. But at the time, they had made a total of $42,000.
Michael said that there was several hundred free tickets, and there just wasn't. There was 200.
That would classify
Because
as several hundred.
200 tickets is not several hundred tickets, but thank you anyway. And then also I sent a screenshot of Tana's video from April 2nd, 2018, showing that that's what started everything. And again, Michael was working with Tana previously to all of this. The Good Times Live was handling Tana's tour, is my understanding. The other thing about him, everything going well, and then
Everything seemed to be going great. And then my assistant runs up to me in a panic. The hotel had shut the doors.
it was packed, it was overcrowded. Eventually, if you watch my vlog, I won't go into the details of the event. I've covered it multiple times in multiple videos. I will link those there. But basically, they didn't just shut the doors. There was a capacity issue. People were having issues. People were having panic attacks because there was no space. There was no food or water. People were, at one point, went to the lobby and then were not allowed back. It started with security. It did not start with the hotel.
Things escalated with the hotel staff. They expressed they would not open that door. The entire thing just kind of spiraled out of control.
I disagree with him trying to push everything onto the hotel, because that is not what happened. It was a combined effort of what fizzled everything, and starts with planning. They sold too many tickets. They sold too many tickets. The ballroom alone had 1,400 people capacity, and they cut the ballroom in half basically because of the stage. All of this, terrible planning. None of it was gonna work out. But what it started is that they started blocking people out, and then they cleared everyone out. Hey, everyone's gotta leave. We're shutting down the event. And then no, we're not shutting down the event, because I could see that people were coming in from the front. So what they were trying to do is like go in shifts. Like, okay, a group comes in, sees a couple of panels, sees a couple of meet and greets, but it's not a fair, okay? It's not like you can go to every booth and then be done. No, there's a schedule that people have signed up for. That was never going to work. I don't know why they were like, okay, let's just kick some people out. No. Someone told me the fire marshal shut things down. I don't think it was that. I think it was just them trying to get everyone out and shut things down. It was not 10,000 people. No, or 20,000 as he said.
There were 20,000 people outside.
It was confirmed later by the Garden Grove police, I believe, that they escorted about 4,000 people off the property and about 1,000 people that were inside. 20,000 people, they would have had to shut down Harper Boulevard. I've said this previously, okay? There was not that many people. The people who bought tickets showed up. His criticism that I brought up, and I didn't finish my thought in the episode. If you guys caught this, again, I was freaking out. I'm not gonna pretend I wasn't nervous this entire time, but I believe in faking it till you make it, which is what I did. And you know, I did my research. I did my homework.
When you're advertising the event as mostly free the
Who
entire
advertised
time.
that? Because I did not advertise a free event.
Most of this was done over Twitter. That is
What did I say? What does that mean? My point was, most of the advertising for this event, most of the communication for this event was done over Twitter. I got very few emails about this event leading up to it. Michael went on Dr. Phil and took ownership of this event. That's what he was doing. So everyone criticizing, like, why are we not talking about Tana? Listen, if Tana wants to do an interview with me, I have things I'd love to talk with her about. I have things I would love to ask her questions about involving Tanacon. Why did you go on vacation right before the event? Why did you keep focusing on just the creator side of things? Why are you talking about the parties and the cups and all of that going up to the event? There's so much, okay, that I would love to talk to everyone about. But Michael was the one there. So he's the one we're dealing with. That's how this works. Michael, again, is trying to take ownership. So Michael doesn't seem to understand that when you take ownership of an event and you name it Tanacon, and if we're to believe his account of events, he's claiming he brought on Tana as a partner or something, okay? If we're following his train of events, okay, she's not your spokesperson. She is the face of your event. She is Tana of Tanacon. Whatever she says reflects your event. That is your fault, Michael. That's how this works, because you are running this event. Hey, don't tell people the event is mostly free. Don't tell people to come through. If she is doing that, that is how this is going through. That falls on you because you did not put those fail safes in place. You are the person partnering with this. That's how this works. The communication of all of this is so all over the place. I am working with one side of the story at a time here because Michael is here trying to take ownership of everything so we can avoid being sued in the future. The day of the event, it was not shut down the same day. The event was forcefully ended, and we all went home being told repeatedly, keep checking Twitter, keep checking everything. We are gonna either find another venue that's larger or have a second venue. We're gonna get to day 2 happening. We had every expectation that day 2 was going to happen. I knew it was probably gonna be a shit show, but I was expecting it to happen, at least for more content. So I went the next day, and it wasn't until Twitter announced like, hey, we have to officially close things. And that is when Michael is referring to all these news cameras facing me. It was the next morning in his pajamas when he went out and told them that he has to cancel the event. And Sydney is behind him, I believe. That's his former assistant who was also on the show. That is the next day. It wasn't all in one day. Let's talk about what they cut out from my portion, which I think if you watch the episode, you can tell they cut out something. I had asked my producer, hey, can I bring up Tanacon 2, the trademark, and ask if he's worried about, Tana suing him for profiting off of her name and likeness and her concept. And she told me, go right ahead, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to say, go for it. So I did. At the end of my segment, before it cuts to commercial, I say...
So it has nothing to do with the fact that you're trying to do another Tanacon?
Who's... Girl.
There was so much more in the rest of that segment. And you can tell, I think, as well, if you go to the segment with his current client, when they cut to Michael, he's pissed. He's seething. He is very upset. And it's probably because of what happened. And they cut that out. I brought up Tanacon 2, and he was like, I am not doing another Tanacon. You have no proof. And I was like, you trademarked it. You trademarked Tanacon. And he was like, well, trademarks take forever to get. And I said in April of 2020, when you renewed it, that's how long it took you to get something from a trademark that happened for an event in 2018. That's when it came through. And again, he cut me off again. He was like, okay, I have a trademark. Like, there's no proof that I am doing Tanacon 2. And I was like, you sold merch. I didn't show you guys my hoodie. Oh my gosh. 1 second. Do you guys like it? It's got pocket. I bought it May of 2020. You see the Tanacon Instagram put a link for merch for Tanacon 2. And here's my receipt from PayPal. Juice Crate Media Group, LLC, also known as Michael Weiss' current company, which he references in Dr. Phil references at the second episode. May 9th, payment $61.50. Amanda-Golka, and right here, purchase details, $55, and then shipping $6.50. Tanacon unisex hoodie small. But you didn't sell merch. Okay. I brought up also at the end where Michael is getting pissed off, I brought up the possibility of, are you at all worried about Tana suing you for profiting off of her name and her concept? Are you at all worried about that? And he cut me off again, back and forth, and then Dr. Phil cut me off. And so that's where the second part of the episode, before he cuts to the current client, that's essentially where that picked up, I believe, where he is talking about you are defensive, you are confrontational, all of that. He goes on to talk about something that I didn't know, or at least this is probably why it was cut out. He said, she's bringing up things that have no relevance. She's calling me a liar. She is bringing up an ongoing litigation that I can't even talk about. And I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't say, how's the lawsuit with Tana going? Or any of that. I said, are you worried about Tana suing you? And that set him off. But he said an ongoing litigation, which implies that there is some type of litigation happening, which implies that I was on the money and someone was suing him. Now, another proof that there was something going on is when the Tanacon Instagram first popped up again and all of this was going about, Tana did tweet out something. I think people were asking her about it, but she tweeted out, if you don't see me commenting on some fuck shit, assume I'm working behind the scenes or something like that. I took that to mean that she was gonna sue him or that she was working with lawyers or something to deal with that. That's what I'm assuming. I have no idea if that's true. Really, I'm talking. So that's for the most part my experience with the Dr. Phil show. Will I be going to the next Tanacon? If I'm not banned and my photo is not hung up in the security office, absolutely. I would love to go to the next Tanacon for content so that you don't have to. Tana, again, if you would like to talk, I would love to talk with you. Michael, if you would like to talk, I would love to talk with you on a more face-to-face Zoom call. I know you're in Tennessee or whatever. We can just talk one-on-one without a moderator. I think that about covers everything. Am I done talking about Tanacon? Yeah, probably. I mean, I think nothing else is gonna happen except if there's another one. But that It's gonna be it for this video. Did you go to Tanacon? Did you watch the Dr. Phil episode? Did you have any idea that I was going to be on the Dr. Phil episode before you decided to watch the Dr. Phil episode? Because I have gotten a lot of strange emails and strange DMs like, did you know you were on Dr. Phil? Yes, I did know. Whatever your thoughts are on the episode of Dr. Phil and Michael's involvement in Tanacon 2 and Tana's choice to not get involved and Michael's book, let me know. Comment down below. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd also like to support me on Patreon, that'll be listed down below. If you'd like to follow me on all my social media, that'll be all up here. If you'd like to go buy some Swell Entertainment merch, that'll be down below. And that's gonna be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Tanacon is old news, but I mean, it didn't matter pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, any event I've ever gone to since Tanacon. People always ask me, on a scale from Tanacon to Firefest, how would you rate this as a disaster? So I mean, Tanacon is still a major historical event in social media, regardless of how often we talk about it. Thank you, Ali, Alan, Alex, Braden, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Cody, Colton, Crush, PC, Destiny, Devin, Dirty One, Don, Elliot, Essen, Evan, Feckles, Hope, Hollow, Jacka Ray, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kevin, Kim, Kristen, Lex, Lisa, Luis, Manga, Matt, Matt O, Matthew S, Meme Lord the Red, Michael, Michael J, Nathaniel, Pat, Pilot, Rob, Robbie, Robert, Ross, Sam, Simon, Stephen, Tasha, Timothy, Tom, Wendy, Williams, Entry.